Hey guys, do you want to see Will Smith and Renee Zellweger and Angelina Jolie as fish?
No.
I
Oh,
mean, it seemed like
well,
a
too
fun
bad.
idea back in the day.
Well, too bad. This is 2004's Shark Tale from Dreamworks Animation, who released Shrek 2 the same year, which was
See, for those younger in the audience, before 2010, DreamWorks was kind of
They were
the
on top of the world, shall we say.
I were they?
financially.
Okay. Let me do a recap here. See, Disney were having their little slump with the likes of Home on the Range, and then their sloppy step into the 3D CGI realm with Chicken Little. DreamWorks
True.
was all on top of Disney, pretty much. Let's see, they had some great 2D animated pictures like Prince of Egypt, The Road to El Dorado, Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. And while some of their other films may not have been that great, they were still showing Disney a thing or two. But what really put them on the map was Shrek, which pretty much took the piss out of them. Thankfully, Shrek was made in a way that it can still be just as funny. Admittedly, though, the sequel was much better, Shrek 2, and that's what put DreamWorks on the top of a lot of people's animation studios. Little
And
did
yet the
we
same
know that same year would come Shark Tale.
what is widely considered their worst, or at least one of their worst films. Anyway, because of the Comcast takeover recently, they added the Universal logo to some copies, but we're going to skip that and just start on a black screen before the DreamWorks animation logo of the time.
Yeah.
So, without further ado, then, 3, 2, 1, click. You know, they really deserve each other, Comcast. And
This is
DreamWorks.
this is basically the first this was basically the first sign that there was something rotten growing on DreamWorks, because later on we would get stuff like Boss Baby and this was the first sign that there was something wrong going on at DreamWorks, even from an early stage.
Now, that's an interesting start. Incorporating the
Worm.
logo into the movie.
I
I
guess.
think likely.
That's one of the best things about this movie.
I wanted to remind everybody that this came out 1 year after Finding Nemo.
I'll admit, I have a bit of a history with this movie. For the longest time ever, I actually really liked it. However, as time went by, I noticed there was something wrong with it. And don't worry, I'll mention what
Me
that big
too.
problem is when it really becomes relevant. For
It-
now, though, we start off with a worm literally on a hook, about to be eaten by a shark.
It boils down to it boils down to this. The humor of this movie resorts to putting celebrities as fish, and the story is the generic liar reveal storyline that we all love so much, don't we?
Believe it or not,
This-
audience, that's not the biggest problem with this movie, but don't worry, those are good contenders still.
The film was co-written by Michael J. Wilson, aka the guy most famous for creating the Ice Age series. And,
So basically, after getting fired from this, you went for Blue Sky.
It's ironic because now...
Let-
Oh, wait, no, now that's owned by Disney.
And Rob Letterman, who after this made films such as Monsters vs. Aliens, Gulliver's Travels, the good Goosebumps movie, and the upcoming Detective Pikachu film.
Oh, good, we got Robert De Niro included.
That makes me wonder: is Blue Sky Studios going to be absorbed into Disney Animation, or is it just
Yep.
operate on it? Well, I guess if it serves to try to get some good out of them, because clearly on their own they could be better.
Okay, interesting thing. Round here, this particular fish got dubbed over by someone from the UK.
Well, that makes sense. Zootopia did that as well with
Okay, if I'll give this movie one thing, it's got a great soundtrack. However, that soundtrack will also factor into the major issue.
Yeah, this is another thing about one of the two primary things about DreamWorks in their pre How to Train Your Dragon.
Hey, look, Gup instead of Gap.
One of the primary problems of DreamWorks movies from the pre 2010 era, excluding the animated ones didn't have that problem. Sorry, the 2D animated ones. Sorry, it was the overabundance of pop songs. Like,
Yeah, if you recall, I brought up in our Zoom commentary how Zoom was pretty much the equivalent of the mid 2000s cliche type of film, pop songs being it. Why? Because Shrek revolutionized it. And yes, Shrek was a good film. The problem was, of course, the usual epidemic. When one movie does good, of course, a lot of other things will try to copy it. More or less, not turning out that good a product. Now, I'll give
not to
it this.
mention,
I actually do kind of like how they incorporate how a city underwater here with the fish works. It's kind of a beta Zootopia here. Like, honestly, if this were more so about fish life underneath here, this movie probably would have been a lot better.
unfortunately, that's not the focus.
Get it? Nobody wants to eat sushi.
Ha 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 ha.
Only one problem with that joke. Fish eat other fish all the time under the sea. Hence the term, it's a fishy fish world.
Wow, it's the first joke of your movie and you fail. That's a good
Hey,
start.
it's almost like how the first joke in Chicken Little fails when they had Indiana Jones.
Who
Never mind
can
the fact
stop
that
this
no one
shark?
in that world-
Okay, here's my first problem. The character design of Oscar, that's the main character's name. I'm just going to call him Will Smith Fish, because that's what he is. I know he has a name, but that's what he is, Will Smith Fish. Will Smith Fish's design, specifically the face...
PlayStation! Of course, it wouldn't be the movie without Sony getting in their little adverts.
Yeah, aside from the bad dialogue that just screams, "Please, I'm cool. I'm cool. Please think back. Please tell me I'm cool." His face design is terrible. I'm sorry. Like how is that supposed to look appealing? Look at that.
This is definitely one of the consequences of a 2004 animation. Back then, it looked pretty cool. Nowadays, God, this movie could use a remastering.
Who voices the?
Well, more like a reanimationing or like reanimating.
You know what I mean, Pedro. Sort of like with Toy Story the movie, but then again.
Well, that's just the thing, Jova. The Toy Story movies still look nice to the eye. Yeah, obviously they look dated compared to today's animated films.
How did they make it that quick?
I mean,
They
if
must
you
have taken painting lessons from Wile E. Coyote.
if you look at Andy's character model from the first Toy Story compared to the opening of Toy Story 3, yeah, there's a marginal difference, and Toy Story 1 looks dated in that regard. That's why Toy Story 1 was a toy movie, because they didn't want to focus on humans because the technology just wasn't there yet. Same thing here. They would decide to make it about fish because, again, the technology wasn't quite there to depict humans in a way that didn't involve into the uncanny valley.
Oh, goody. This bit.
So this is the equivalent of washing. Basically, he washes cars, and by cars I mean whales.
Okay, this is interesting enough. And I'll admit, this is how I was introduced to the song Car Wash. Car Wash is actually not a typical pop song here. And okay, I'll give the movie this. It doesn't just try to rely just on pop songs. It actually does bring back some of the old or the new, gives it a remix here and there. Again, the music of this movie is not a problem. And
Do you mean like the songs they chose or Hans Zimmer's score?
The songs mainly, but the music's not bad either. Though I'll admit, I remember the songs more than said music.
Well, it was around this point where Hans Zimmer's scores for children's films were starting to be of higher quality than his live action work.
So here's Renee Zellweger.
Renee Zellweger, yes.
Also,
Renee Zellweger Fish.
It was such a missed opportunity that they didn't get Angelina Jolie to voice Angie here, because come on.
Well,
you got Will Smith's face on a fish. Why not have Angelina Jolie voice the fish called Angie?
Well, yeah, that's a good point actually. I know her name is Angie, but I'm just gonna call her Renee Zellweger Fish. See, the big problem, everybody, with this movie's characters is that the characters don't really have anything substantial to them. The movie mostly just relies on the fact, look, it's Will Smith as a fish. Ain't that wacky?
I mean, okay, to be fair, it was a movie that in a ways, like the original Toy Story, was a test of a new bout of animation, facial motion capture, whatnot. So, I can get why they may have had a bit of a thin plot here and there. My only issue is the plot they went with was, well, as you can probably tell, since the name is called Shark Tale, Actually, you probably can't tell by the name of that. But as we said before, liar revealed. But we're getting a bit ahead of ourselves.
That highlights the priority, the screwed up priorities, though, Jova. I mean, Toy Story had the whole. The Toy Story was the first animated film, but sorry, this is the first CG animated.
Cream.
Yeah, Kelpie creams.
No,
The Toy Story was the first CG animated film. However, thanks to its great story and characters, it still stood the test of time. This movie, on the other hand, it no longer has the novelty factor, so it has nothing going for it in today's day and age. Honestly.
Oh, by the way, that's the Titanic. No, I'm not kidding. That
Sure,
is actually literally the Titanic.
Sure, why not? Let's plug that in while we're at it.
You know, Jova.
Funnily enough, another movie this year came out that was centered around the Titanic, Tentacolino.
Hey, Robert De Niro Shark.
Hey, Jova.
Yes.
Funny thing, it was only like a few months. We only got
Martin.
we only got Krispy Kreme donuts around a few months before this film came out in cinemas.
Martin,
So,
what are you
Martin
doing here?
Scorsese is a blowfish. Okay.
Martin, you're not an actor. You're not even a voice actor. What the fuck are you doing here?
I'll give him this.
How did you even get here?
He actually does turn in a pretty good performance as.
How the hell did Dreamworks even pitch this to him? Hey, Martin, I know that you've never done any acting in your life before, but get this. It's you as a blowfish. What? It's you as a but I don't act. It's you as a blowfish. Like, seriously, what?
Okay, here's where I bring up the major issue because holy cow, I realized a lot of movies that came out this year played that song. This movie is one of the most dated projects you'll ever see. I mean, everything about it is dated.
Everything 2004 you'll find in this film.
Let me put it like this. For 2004, this was the perfect movie to make. The problem is that it only really works for 2004. I mean, okay, don't get me wrong. Sure, it worked for later years, but as the years go by, it feels like this was specifically for this year. And by golly, they actually got nominated an Academy Award for Best Animated Picture because this movie was just the movie for that year. Of course, it didn't win, but
yes,
still.
ladies and gentlemen, we could properly call this the Academy Award nominated Shark Tale.
That's the thing, Jova.
yeah.
Honestly, Jova, I saw this movie back then in 2004, back when it first came out, and even I just don't find the story interesting or the writing all that good. I guess maybe it's just because it's 2004. I guess the appeal works much more for Americans.
Also, wait, he's being fired for pointing out a problem? But I don't know, did he even do that?
Let's just say the father's one of those types who's really defensive about his image.
Why did you feel
Oh my god! It really is the Titanic. They've even got Rose's drawing there.
Why did you feel the need to strip Martin Scorsese of his dignity? Why?
It'll be, well, Mark, I'm not sure if it's much dignity sucking, but when was his... Was this during his rough patch or something?
Yeah, the only really rough patch he had was back in 2006 with The Departed, and even then, I still kind of enjoyed The Departed for what it was. But aside from that, no, he didn't have a rough patch. Back in 2004, he released The Aviator, which is, personally, I find to be one of his most underrated films. I love that film.
I mean, honestly, in regards to characters and whatnot, Martin Scorsese's character, I'd say here is fine. Yeah, he's got the slapstick going on, but he's a pufferfish. That's kind of to be expected in aquatic
But it begs
tales.
the question, Jova. Why Martin Scorsese? He's not... Okay, at least all the others are actual actors. Martin Scorsese is a director. He's never acted. Why is he here?
I don't know. I'm just thankful that he turned in a good enough performance that I couldn't actually tell.
That's fine, but okay.
Soap in the eye.
Let's get Will Smith in here because Will Smith is hip with the kids and the teenagers. Okay, I get that. But Martin Scorsese is not hip with the kids or any teenagers. Martin Scorsese is an adult film, is a filmmaker that makes movies for adults. Hugo notwithstanding.
Okay, to be fair, I don't think that all the characters need to have that in mind. But I think that if we spend all our time talking about that, we'll never get to commenting on this movie.
Sure, it just baffles me.
Guess what? Because folks? The plot is now here.
Introduced by Bob Marley's son and someone from Cool Runnings. Well, he'd know that, yeah, because
Mon? What are you?
They're Jamaican.
they're Jamaican.
Of course. Stereotyping. Oh, hey,
Well, actually, Pedro, to be fair, that is the accent that Jamaicans use.
So,
And their wording.
Hey, Martin, could you put me in a better movie than this one?
Was Will Smith ever in a Martin Scorsese film?
No.
Oscar O's.
I'm actually surprised they don't make a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air joke.
Guess that would have been too obvious.
Why not? They make every other obvious joke. How did you arrive at that conclusion? I mean, I know he's.
So you just happen to have that chart with you, just in case this would be necessary.
I get the point that he's meant to be the.
He's a blowfish, so when he gets angry, he blows up. He blows up. Get it?
SpongeBob did this joke better, enough said.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, SpongeBob was the show that revolutionized this joke.
Hell,
So...
the SpongeBob movie came out the same year.
Holy cow!
Allow me to remind everybody that this is the same studio that made The Prince of Egypt.
Not the same directors, I think, anyway.
Okay, here's a major issue with this movie. A lot of our characters are jerks. Like, yeah, I get that the mob boss shark guy is a jerk.
But our protagonist is a jerk as well. That's the problem.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, well, Element. To me as a kid, it wasn't clear why Martin Scorsese is picking on him, but I guess something about him owing money and that putting him low on the food chart. But yeah, it doesn't help that Oscar himself is, okay, that was actually funny.
I
want some of that.
That was an okay. I will give credit for trying to do an adult joke, but I don't know. Didn't work for me, sorry. But anyway, hey, Dibs, look. He thinks he's a nobody, and he wants to be somebody. He wants to be noticed.
Anyway, I was just checking the filmography.
Oh, here's this is his dad, right?
Yeah.
I was just checking the filmography.
Afro.
Anyway, I was just gonna say I was just checking the filmography of the other directors. Vicky Jensen. Her most famous claims to fame were doing storyboards and other stuff, films such as The Road to El Dorado.
Love that movie.
The additional story for Chicken Run, and she was a director of the first Shrek film and a additional story artist for Sinbad: Legend of the Seven Seas.
Oh, so a veteran.
Her most recent film was a 2009 indie rom-com called Postgrad.
I gotta love
to sum up that backstory here, basically he looked up to his dad, but all the kids in class laughed at his dad being a tongue scrubber.
As for the other director, Bibo Bergeron, is a French guy. He did some animation work for Asterix in Britain, Asterix and the Big Fight, An American Tale, Fever Goes West, Ferngully Last Rainforest. In terms of directing,
Hold on, Boobs. This is actually important.
Yes, they made a pearl, and he can use that to get the money he needs for his boss. Oh, the guy's first directing movie was The Road to El Dorado.
Dreams can start small. Okay, that's a nice little peek at how Dreamworks started off from a small dream of sorts.
Was The Road to El Dorado considered a good one?
Yeah.
I love Road to El Dorado.
That was the first film he did, directing-wise, anyway.
Yeah, that was phenomenal.
Well, what happened then?
I don't know. After this film, the only other credits to his name, at least on Wikipedia, He was a storyboard artist for Flushed Away, and he was director and story writer for A Monster in Paris.
Oh, I like that movie.
So yeah, back to the mob, the sharks of the mob.
Basically, Don Lino here is upset about his son Lenny, voiced by Jack Black, basically he's a vegetarian.
Yes, Jack Black as a vegetarian shark. I'm just surprised they didn't. Well, then again, no.
Also, wasn't this around the time where they were one of them animation studios that tried to push the actors as a drawing point for the movie?
Well, remember, that was always kind of DreamWorks' gimmick. Even to this day, they always focus on celebrity voice acting.
Well,
Nowadays, almost everyone does that now.
Well, they haven't done it for the How to Train Your Dragon movies.
Well, actually, they did. Remember, back in 2010, when the first movie came out, America Ferrera was very famous in America because of Ugly Betty. Now she's not. She's kind of lost relevance at this point. But back in 2010, she was.
No around there she won't.
Well, Ugly Betty was mostly popular in America.
That story broke my heart.
See, that's actually, this brings up a good point as well, and it ties into this movie's problems as well. DreamWorks in a lot of ways seems to mostly think of the American audiences rather than a worldwide audiences, and because of that, a lot of the stuff they do ends up being lost on a lot of international audiences.
Honestly, I wouldn't say that's their main issue, because trust me...
I don't think it's their main issue, I'm just saying it's one issue they have. Because like I said, I saw this movie back in 2004, and I didn't really get it's amazing in 2004 thing, honestly.
I mean, okay, the Amazing in 2004 thing wasn't really a thing exclusive to America. People overall did like it back in the day.
Not me.
Well, I didn't say everyone did.
All right. So yeah, our Jack Black is a shark, but he doesn't like being a shark. Whatever can we do, Dwibs?
Also,
here we go.
Oh yeah, it is a major problem with Oscar's character. He has no sense of priority.
Mm-hmm. Will Smith Fish is a jerk.
Also, one of the seahorses is called Seabiscuit.
I find it interesting how an animator actually...
Oh, wait, hold on. Here we go. That is clearly not what she said.
Yeah. Selective memory.
And sense of self-preservation out the window. Seriously. Oscar, did you not hear what your boss was going to do to you
there's
if you
Angelina
don't
Jolie
bring
Fish.
the money?
A lionfish, technically.
Those tend to be very deadly.
Oh,
So,
God. Wait.
It's perfect casting, actually.
I love how her theme is literally she's a gold digger. Gee, what a shock.
God. I get the feeling. I get the feeling the guy who founded Illumination looked at this movie and thought, yes, this is going to be what my studio is built upon.
Completely ignoring almost all their other movies. Yes, your name's...
I don't really like and Angelina Jolie's fish design either. She always looks bored.
So, the major conflict of this movie would never have happened if Oscar just brought him that money.
Not just that, Jova. How lack of restraint are you? Seriously.
least she's honest about it. Get it? Because we
All right, that does sort of get a chuckle out of me. So,
it's our impressions that do it, yeah.
yeah.
But his eyes better.
The good eye, his other one's still blackened.
Well, they got a British guy doing the.
Ha 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 ha. It's funny. What's even the joke? Like, why was he even trapped there?
Well, as you recall, the fish mentioned earlier that the track was rigged. Oscar only heard part of it, though.
Oh,
Also,
okay.
also his name's Lucky Day, but he's not lucky. Get it? Fish fingers. Don't say anything yet. You'll get jinxed. Nope. Ow.
Okay.
And Lucky Day hits itself with its tail and what?
No, it slipped underwater.
It slipped. You can't slip. Ugh. You can't slip underwater.
Yeah.
Well, good job, Will Smith Fish. Now we're back to where he started. Yeah, of course, obviously.
Also, he told you put him in a hole,
Uh,
not electrocute him.
Meet the Robinsons did that joke better. We'll just go with that.
So they're torturing him with.
Basically, they're leaving him down near a trench of sorts, I guess, because actually, I don't know.
He buried the torturing him with Bob Marley.
Now they're torturing him with stinging.
Also, yeah, this is totally effective. Have a joke around when they're supposed to be torturing him. Meanwhile, it's now suddenly night.
Actually, no. Those are just darker waters.
But it looks darker out up on the surface.
Well, Dwibs, that's the thing. The deeper you go, the darker it gets. And the Titanic is on the bottom of the ocean.
Fortunately, Jack Black would be in a considered better Dreamworks movie, but unfortunately that was 4 years away.
Yeah, 4 years away.
Thankfully, Jack Black had a sturdy enough career. And let's not forget, technically this movie was actually liked upon release, so I guess nobody really felt ashamed when this came out. I guess there's that.
I think School of Rock came out the year before.
Mm-hmm.
The following year after this he was in King Kong, so pick your poison, I guess. One's a horribly dated for its time animation film. The other was an overly long monkey movie.
And surprisingly, both were actually liked the year they came out, so I guess technically in retrospect, he didn't suffer.
Yeah, he's just pretending, is he?
Tastes like chicken. Haha.
Yeah, he said, "Now you dolt." So Oscar apparently can't follow directions. How inconvenient! An anchor comes up from out of the. I thought the trope was anvilicious, not anchorlicious. Oh no, not him.
His brother.
Yeah, like I said, him.
Yeah.
The problem, okay. Another problem with this movie, other than the horribly dated comedy and overuse of pop culture references, the characters aren't really all that interesting.
No. Not really. It was just stupid coincidence.
Yeah, I mean, how else would? Yeah. No, and he runs away.
That's like
because, yeah.
that's like if well, no, actually, no, never mind. Yeah, it was just stupid coincidence.
Hmm.
What are you doing? Screaming is funny somehow. Laugh.
I mean, when you do it right, it can be.
He killed the shark.
Didn't you guys see the anvil? Sorry, the anvil. The
No, they didn't. They just saw.
No. Lenny tossed it away.
okay.
Yeah.
And so begins the movie's plot. Oscar telling a bunch of porkies.
So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, the liar reveal trope is on.
No. Although, considering how recently some of the most well looked up people have been revealed to be cheats, maybe this was secretly
Ahead of its time.
yeah, this was secretly some sort of weird quasi satire on what's the name of that American biker who won all those Tour de France? It turned out he used drugs.
Lance Armstrong.
Yeah, it's a secretly a Lance Armstrong parody.
Mm.
I think you're giving the movie too much credit.
Yeah, I know.
So yeah, he's no longer a nobody. Now he's a somebody.
And now he's got the affections of Angelina Jolie fish. In fact, that's the weirdest thing, 'cause
That reminds me. Where is Brad Pitt fish?
Brad Pitt.
I think they were married at this point, were they?
Were they? Let me check.
I think Brad Pitt was married to Jennifer Aston at the time.
Okay, because usually, hold on.
Yeah, Angelina Jolie. She was not married to Brad Pitt until 2014.
Okay, then never mind.
Yep. Brad Pitt was still married to Rachel from Friends at this time.
Huh. Friends ended that year too. 2004.
Okay, let me repurpose my joke then. Where is Jennifer Aniston fish? Sorry.
Why would Jennifer Aniston be here?
I know, I'm confusing my celebrities. Hold on.
Also, yeah, for a movie called Shark Tale, it's not even about the sharks most of the time. It's about this guy. Also, his funeral. Get it? Now there's a funeral.
One of those mobster funerals.
Oh, he said, I'm checking the Wikipedia right now. Angelina Jolie was criticized of apparently having accused of some people of having causing the divorce of Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston.
Huh. Go figure.
No comment. They did? Based on his attitude, I thought he'd be one of those sharks that no one liked.
It's all about respect, up the ladder. You ever watch Godfather? Pretty much this, but with sharks.
I have, yeah.
Okay, so at the
I've seen
time
all
she was
three of
married to Billy Bob Thornton. Okay, so where's Billy Bob Thornton fish?
I don't think he was as well known.
at the time. I think he did Bad Santa at some point. Also, yeah, Lenny's hiding out because he can't bear to face his father because of how Frankie really died.
Anyway, the octopus here is Luca, voiced by Vincent Pastore, an Italian-American actor.
Well, it makes sense. They're trying to do the whole mob thing, so...
Mm-hmm.
Fart joke!
Okay.
Don't you just love them?
The lowest form. Actually, what the lowest form of humour is entirely debatable.
Again, a fart joke can work if you build up a proper context that makes it so that the joke is not just, oh, he farted, that's funny. Like, it depends on the context of the fart. The problem is that go ahead.
Of all movies,
Oh, that's right, because My Heart Will Go On was a big thing still.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, of all movies, and hell, not even all the time in that movie, the one movie that managed to do fart jokes right twice was
Oh, look, he's got a keyblade.
What's freaking Master of Disguise?
Fathom, floating, crustacean, modern fry, news reef, ha 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 ha.
Pisces.
Okay, the
What?
whole
What? No?
referencing-
What? Not what? No fish, boy. Come on, DreamWorks. Just go all the way out. Why not?
Okay, I would not mind the whole references to real life stuff, okay? If anything, I do think, like, well, at the very least, this does a better job of it than certain other movies that are more recent have tried at it. It's like, again, had they actually just given this a proper, more better story with better fleshed out characters, it would just add to it better.
Mm-hmm. What was I gonna say? Yeah, this movie is also giving me somewhat, although Ready Player One does it a lot worse. The pop culture references in this movie just basically boil down to, see, we made a parallel to this thing that exists.
Again, the parallels
Yeah.
aren't the things I feel are the most dated, even though some of these stores are kind of no more. But it's the format of the movie and a lot of the jokes that definitely feel specifically 2004. Like, okay, 2004 had a lot of movies that did fart jokes good. Shrek 2 did it good. Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed did it good. Yes, that same Scooby-Doo 2 written by James Gunn. It's just, man, this movie. And honestly, this movie isn't even the worst thing ever. Like, there are way worse movies. It's just, this movie in particular stands out because of how well, I don't want to say just dated, but yeah, dated.
In terms of films released in 2000, the ones off the top of my head anyway, I think Blade Trinity's worse.
Oh, hell yeah. The major reason that people kind of more dogpile in this movie more so is
Because it's fascinatingly bad.
Yeah, not only that, some people apparently at some point realized, oh my god, this movie is crap. Because, again, let me remind you, this movie was actually really well beloved when it first came out. It nearly won an Academy Award. And I get why that is that. Sorry, folks, we're talking so much over the actual plot of the movie. Let's see, what's happened? Oh yeah, Oscar's living the lie, and he's a somebody now. Yeah, have I mentioned that the pacing of this movie is pretty bad in hindsight?
Not just that, Joe. Not just that, Joe.
Movie.
Not just that, Joe, but but the plot is so cliche and by the numbers. You've seen this plot a million times before. It's not.
Okay, I'm gonna be a bit fair. For 2004, the whole lie reveal thing wasn't as done into the dust, at least in the general public, as much. So, the cliches, I'll let that one slide. I'll still point them out. But in terms of when it came out, I'll just peg that up to about of Seinfeld is unfunny. The trope where, something in hindsight is definitely more cliche than it was when it first came out. That doesn't necessarily excuse them because they're still used rather badly. However, one thing that was a cliche, the obvious B word in sheep's clothing.
Bitch.
Yeah.
Well, I get why you would say it, Jim. It's just
yeah, you can totally see why. You can totally see why Renee Zellweger fish is into Will Smith fish, can't you?
I'm just going to say this right now. The whole thing with Lola was done better in stuff like The Mask and Who Framed Roger Rabbit. In The Mask, it was actually a nice subversion that the hot chick turned out to be the actual true love for Jim Carrey instead of the nerdy girl who you think is going to be the one who loves him for who he is. But no, it turned out that the hot girl actually did love him for who he was. Who Framed Roger Rabbit also did a nice subversion where
he makes me laugh.
Yeah, exactly. And for this few snippet, you can actually see why they'd be a loving couple. I mean, even though it doesn't have to be played seriously enough, the scenes that they do share definitely give me the sense that they're a loving relationship for as completely opposite as they are.
Jovi, you know what they say? Opposites attract.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't even mind the fact that they're playing the whole thing with Lois straight.
It's a magnetism joke, Dwips.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jova, continue.
The issue with Lola is that they play it so straight to the point where it's just, okay, that's also a funny joke. He acts tough, but inside he cries. I'll admit.
Wait, Lola? Isn't her name Angie, though?
No, that's the thing. Angie is the one voiced by Renee Zellweger, like I said. Such a missed opportunity that they didn't have the actual fish named Angie voiced by Angelina Jolie.
True. I'm guessing that's like the one joke where they went, nah, that's too obvious.
Yeah, that's the thing, though. This movie does all the obvious jokes, and yet it chooses to be restrained sometimes.
That's the thing. The movie.
Okay, you give us credit, Lips. That's probably for the better because if they didn't try to be restrained times, we'd have a magic voyage on our hands. And God help us, I don't want a magic voyage.
What's the magic voyage?
It's an incredibly annoying animated film, Dwibs, where there's literally not a single second of silence. There's always someone talking. It's noise. It never stops to take a fucking breather.
Yeah, let me put it like this, Dwibs. It's the kind of annoying film that even kids, when they're incredibly young, might get tired out by. That's how bad it is. Speaking of being tired,
Lenny's so tired.
Look,
he's crying.
Look, Jack Black Shark, it's okay.
Maybe as a kid this entertained me more, but God, there are so many segments where nothing happens. Now, granted, yes, something's technically happening here, but in hindsight, this kind of feels like this could have happened earlier or later to help the plot's pacing.
Not just that, but again, it all boils down to the very simple matter of hand. The movie just aged like rotten cheese.
Yeah. Here's one thing I don't get about Oscar. Maybe you could say that they were trying to have it be in his character that he never thinks out stuff through, but I'm sorry. Every decision he makes is just, I don't know, unbelievably stupid. Like, okay,
it is,
first off, the whole plot starts because he blatantly disobeyed his boss and didn't bring him 5,000 clams, which his friend provided from a pearl that her grandmother had gotten from a clam that had worked on it for years. Yeah, that was also selfish. Second, next thing, he's doing this whole lie with sharks, saying that he's going to protect the town, and doesn't think about what this could possibly lead to. Third, okay, here's the weird thing, though. It's only now when he starts to think ahead, as you'll see later, involving Lenny.
The Shark Slayer.
Yeah, I've got a severe coughing disorder. Either that or Will Smith actually did have a cough while he was recording the just for it. Actually, I wonder, in a film like this, what comes first? The acting?
It depends.
As if.
Some,
And I'm picturing Jack Black playing Zigbar. Anyway.
oh boy.
It's
Wait for it.
Yeah. Well, they are saying it, but it's not true. Yes, she did.
No, it wasn't a little lie.
It's a little lie that would grow into a great white lie.
Honestly, Arrested Development does the whole liar joke thing better.
Hell yeah. I mean,
And that
look,
was out around the same time as this.
See, Arrested Development was a movie that, by all
TV
rights,
series.
should have...
TV series, you mean?
Sorry, yeah. It was a TV series that, by all means, should have pissed people off because a lot of its cast were terrible people. Here's the thing. The cast of terrible people constantly got their comeuppance for their bad deeds.
Well, it's not like Arrested Development was the first one to do that. Remember, Joe, the four main characters of Seinfeld are also terrible people when you get right down to it. The big difference is that the writers knew how to write everything in a way that made their terribleness relatable.
Also,
Yeah,
Joey,
and then there's It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, which ramps that up to 11.
Also, Joey, even the character who says he hates lying.
Well, that was just Michael being pushed to his breaking point. But yeah, again, Michael's not perfect.
Justin Timberlake, your favorite.
The big problem, yeah, love it.
Oh,
Anyway,
I like Justin Timberlake and Nate.
I like him as I think he's a decent actor, but I don't like him as a musician.
Really?
No, sorry. I think as a musician he really sucks. But anyway, okay. You can have your main character make stupid decisions or even bad decisions because the character has to learn from said bad decisions or stupid decisions. Of course, the problem is that Oscar does not make up for his problems in any way, shape, or form. He's not charming. He's not witty. There's no he always comes across as mean-spirited because it never feels like he's being tempted by something. He just does. It just feels natural to him. He doesn't come across as a good person who makes bad decisions. He comes across as just a mean-spirited person.
Oh, I just realized something, guys.
What?
Justin Timberlake in a DreamWorks movie. 3 years later, he was actually in one as an actor.
Which one again?
Shrek the Third.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think he was the prince that was gonna be the new king. Yeah, if I remember correctly.
Oh, he was King Arthur.
Yeah, King Arthur, I think.
Honestly, I think that film's worse than this one.
Well, no shock there. Look, like I said, Shark Tale is not even really a terrible movie. It's just a movie that is aged like terrible cheese. And don't get me wrong, it is definitely bad. But, the main reason that, a lot of people come back to the film is that it's the fascinating kind of bad. It's almost artistic. And I'll give it like this. It was a movie that was taking risks for its time. I won't say that this movie didn't try and take risks. And, some of those risks did work out for the better on other projects because it told DreamWorks to slow the fudge down until we got to Shrek the Third.
I just wish they would take a bit more risks in the actual story.
Well, here's the problem, Major. They're now owned by Comcast. I get the feeling some decisions may be out of the old guard's hands.
I don't mean now. I mean in this movie. I just wish they would take more risks with the story, the story itself, not so much the jokes and the overall style. I mean the story itself that the movie's trying to tell. The liar, the whole. Oh, it's not about being a nobody or somebody. It's about being happy with who you are. Wreck-It Ralph did this infinitely better. So I mean,
what's one weird thing that's missing though. Normally with the liar reveal plot, I usually have the cringe when I know that the truth's about to be revealed. But for some reason, looking back at this movie, I just don't. Maybe it's because I've seen this a lot of times, or maybe I'm desensitized to this particular film, but. For some reason, I don't feel the normal cringe I do knowing that the truth is gonna get revealed.
Well,
get it because Robert De Niro was the Godfather too.
Yeah, since you see it, we've got celebrity. Video game reference for some reason.
He's already got a video game.
They're playing underwater PlayStation,
PlayStation.
I guess. Whatever.
Well, remember, they already mentioned literally a PlayStation at the start of this movie.
Ha!
That's probably some money from Sony's pocket.
This was before Sony had their own animation studio. um, what was I going to say? Oh, hi, Martin Scorsese Blowfish. Um, well, now all of a sudden...
Oh boy.
Also, I gotta say, this film looks worse in high definition.
Yeah, again, it boils down to the fact that this was 2004 CG animation, which wasn't...
Honestly, Pedro, the year before this, 2003, Finding Nemo would probably look better in HD.
Well, that's
Okay, okay.
that's
Here's the
because
main- okay, here's the main
Pixar usually
hindrance.
has better animators and bigger budget.
Okay, here's the main hindrance to this movie's animation. The fact that a lot of it is relying on facial motion capture, which ate up a lot of the budget of this movie.
Yeah.
You know,
Who's this,
fun.
the octopus?
Oh, like I already mentioned, the guy who voices the octopus is that Italian-American guy, Vincent, Vincent Pastore.
Oh, another fun fact.
I get the feeling...
Don-
Hold on, let me check when he died.
Don Leno, the main villain, he was supposed to be voiced by James Gandolfini, but he had to drop out the project, so he was replaced by Robert De Niro.
Also, oh, never mind, I'll mention it later.
I get the feeling... hold on, let me check when he died.
You know, I could go for a massage. This movie is making me tense.
Honestly, this movie, aside from when it's not being annoying because of the bad jokes, it's just boring. Because
Yeah.
you can see a million miles away everything that's going to happen.
Granted, we've known about this since 2004, so that might have something to do with it, but I still get your point.
Well, allow me to remind you, Jova, that stuff like even way before this movie came out, we had stuff like Dances with Wolves, which also delved a bit into the liar reveal stuff.
Well, Dances with Wolves was technically based off of a historical event, but yeah. Okay, see, Dances with Wolves had a plot that actually worked with that better. Also because, you know, the audience was kind of clued in on it.
True. Your pet shark.
She's one of the few people here who has a point, and yeah, she kind of points out what's wrong with people.
And it's not a jerk. Okay, so Marlon Brando died. Oh, he died a year before this movie came out. Oh, no. He died in the year that this movie came out. When did this movie come out again? Let me check.
Shark Tale.
Wait, who died?
Marlon Brando. Because I get the feeling they probably wanted Marlon Brando to play the Blowfish, but they couldn't get him.
Marlon Brando, he died in 2004.
Yeah, July 1st, 2004, I just saw. This movie came out in September. Well, yeah, it came out in September 2004, but the voice recording obviously was done way before the release date, so it still could have been possible to get Marlon Brando to voice the Blowfish shark. And
Honestly, I'm not surprised that they picked Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro is
I mean Robert De Niro's character. I mean Martin Scorsese's character.
Oh, wait. Marlon Brando for Martin Scorsese? I don't... Really? You see Marlon Brando for that?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to come up with some kind of justification because the most baffling. I'm not even kidding, Joe. But the most, you know, what's the most interesting thing about this movie to me? The casting of Martin Scorsese. It's the one thing that keeps baffling me to no end to this day. It's still one of the greatest mysteries of the universe, as far as I'm concerned. Why Martin Scorsese? I can't get over this.
To be fair, I don't think it's the only movie he's been a part of the cast for.
Let me check, because I don't remember him acting in anything else aside from, of course, his earlier student films.
Don't stop zooming in on his face.
All right, let me see. Well, okay. Technically, there are the cameos he sometimes makes in his films, but those don't count. Cameos don't count. Let me see.
Also, I wonder if the British dub of this exists somewhere.
Oh, fun fact, actually. The reporter here, Katie Current, is played by reporter in real life, Katie Couric.
Around here, she was voiced by Fiona Phillips, so there goes the pun.
It depends. Did they rename her for that?
No.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there you go. He had a cameo, like he had a minor role in his first student film back in 1967, but that's to be expected. Taxi Driver. Yeah, he had a cameo in Taxi Driver.
Wait, why does anyone want to suddenly change the story? It's not wrestling, mate.
How's that for Nightmare Fuel? Oh well.
Hey, Jaws!
Film I'd rather be watching.
You guys remember Jaws? That was a thing.
Well, they've been using the theme for it quite a bit.
How did they... Well, again, they were Dreamworks. At this point, they could probably buy... Well, not Disney, but, well...
Yeah, the cameo in...
It's Pinocchio. Also, what's that? Yeah, fish cake. Oh, come on, that's not even clever.
No.
Yeah, just pretend you're,
Wrestling, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much all of his acting roles were just small little cameo stuff before this one.
Well, I got nothing.
Nobody said hello. Because you told me turn it off. How long is there left of this movie again?
Yeah, this movie is only 90 minutes long, but you feel every one of those minutes. Like, it really is boring. It really is boring.
How's no one hearing what he's saying about Big Finish and everything?
Well, to be fair, they're right next to each other, and it's not like anyone's going to get close to what they believe to be a ferocious shark.
It's interesting you brought up you said Big Fish. I wish I was watching Big Fish right now.
Big Fish, like that's a film.
Big Fish. It's a 2003 Tim Burton film. It's one of his more underrated ones, and it's fantastic actually. It stars Ewan McGregor. And guess what, Dwibs? Guess who's also in that movie? The Great Khali, of all people. Yes, I'm just serious. But he's actually pretty good in the movie, actually. Well, he's a wrestler. I mean, wrestlers are actors at the end of the day, so.
Okay, just because they're good, just because they can sell pain doesn't mean they're good actors. But, well,
it can be. I mean, with the Rock, it worked.
True.
And it's starting to work for John Cena.
Finally.
Well, I mean, he was... What was it? Ferdinand, and then it was Bumblebee. But that's not the thing. Bumblebee was the film where Cena didn't actually play a goody two-shoes.
Huh. Of course the hero gets the girl.
Wow.
You know, Renee Zellweger Fish, you deserve better. Reef exclusive. Yeah, why don't you just hook up with Jack Black Shark here?
Pedro, Pedro.
Size difference.
Pedro, science has not gone that far yet. I don't know if we're ready to go that far yet. What do you think, Dwibs?
Well, Jovi, you brought up the bit of Zootopia thing at the beginning of this movie. In the reef, everybody can be anything, Jova.
Notice how we never actually see that kind of offspring in Zootopia, though. I do wonder.
Well, Jova, you clearly, you haven't read the fan comics.
Of course I've read the fan. Of course I've seen the fan comics. Who hasn't? What about that, guys? Angie's in a bad mood because he's still lying. Who'd imagine?
Yeah, that's the impression of the audience when it comes to this movie. Yeah, thanks, Renee Zellweger Fish.
What was Renee Zellweger in?
Wait, her actual name is Lola? She said Lola now.
No. Lola, no.
Wait,
Lola is the fish voiced by Angelina Jolie, who's the gold digger.
Oh, okay, I got it. Must have gotten confused. Not for nothing, dude. When has Renee Zellweger Fish ever treated you like a nobody?
She's actually pointing that out right now.
Gee, this is. I wasn't seeing the moral coming at all, was I?
Awkward.
Bad timing there, mates.
Yeah, this is me towards DreamWorks in today's time. Okay, fine. Just go. Don't make more How to Train Your Dragon quality level films. Just go. Just pander to the lowest common denominator. See if I care.
That moment's gone now.
So yeah, what does Will Smith Fish do now? Does he going to confess everything so he can, right his wrongs?
Well, to be fair, if he admits that, he'll probably get killed.
Also,
but yeah.
The only films of Renee Zellweger that I've seen, really, are Me, Myself, and Irene, and I've only heard bits and pieces about the Bridget Jones films.
She mostly does romantic comedies.
Let's see, she was Katie in Monsters vs. Aliens.
Also, funny how a...
Coral Cola. Get it? Get it?
Real.
It's interesting how Renee Zellweger in America portrayed a Brit in the Bridget Jones films.
Not surprised there.
From what I remember, her accent was actually not that bad.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've seen those.
British accents are like one of the... Well, okay, never mind. I can't speak for everyone, but for me, British accents are some of the easiest to do. Helps that I hang around a Brit a lot.
This is
speaking as a Brit, the one problem I have is when they all try. Most British accents just sound like just sound like posh, as if that's like the only British accent there is.
Yeah, that can be a bit of an issue.
Hemorrhoids, like isolation.
Trials and Tribulations came out that year.
Okay, I'll give it to you that it's a better hemorrhoid joke than Trials and Tribulations, but it's not exactly something to be proud of.
You say they're Inside Out?
Yeah, I wish I was watching Inside Out right now. God, Will Smith's fish face is so derpy. God. Please don't give me a close up of that face. Go, take it away, thank you. God.
Yes.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's Angelina Jolie, alright.
Oh yeah, who else is looking forward to that Maleficent sequel coming out in 2019?
No, thank you.
Wasn't it some Mistress of Evil or something, even though she's
Yeah.
a good guy?
Yes, it's just it is. Oh god.
Oh,
You know,
God.
it's kind.
This is a song I hear in disco parties a lot.
You know, can I talk about how ironic it is that Angelina Jolie's character is calling Will Smith's character the nobody?
Okay, I think the jellyfish are the most funny character in this film.
Definitely.
That's not saying much, though.
Yeah, no, it's just so.
Dun dun dun.
Like, I care.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I echo Dibs' words.
Okay, that joke was funny too.
Well, they're sleeping with the fishes when he was confused.
Ha ha ha.
Specifically the dead ones.
Yeah.
Shouldn't it say sleep? She's sleeping with the plankton or something like that?
I don't think Plankton even really sleep.
Well, it's a joke. It doesn't have to be completely accurate.
Well, I mean, I guess to be fair, it would kind of. Oops.
Oh. You shouldn't have said that to him. Hi. Come here often?
No.
All right.
This is the closest Will Smith gets to being scary ever, really. Not just in this movie, his whole career. Has he ever been in a horror film?
No.
I guess.
Suicide Squad doesn't count.
I guess if you count I Am Legend. Depends, though.
I Am Legend, wasn't that one that had a different ending?
Oh, God, yes.
You're a guy who was the best part in a film that I don't really agree is better than the first.
Godfather 2?
Yeah. Yeah, I thought the first one was better, if I'm honest.
I still like Godfather 2, though.
It was better than 3, for sure. Yeah, Angelina Jolie was working for the bad guys all along.
Well, she is Angelina Jolie.
But yeah, this. Okay, honestly though, I don't even think this is even the worst film Angelina Jolie's been in.
No,
Oh, no,
that would be
that still
Maleficent.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
Either that or Cradle of Life.
I'm still going to say Maleficent's worse. Cradle of Life is bad, but Maleficent. Ugh.
Okay, can we just get straight to the climax, please? I am so tired of this.
Oh,
Can't touch this.
yeah, because that film wasn't that reference isn't dated.
How do you know what the Panama Canal is?
Where even is that?
Panama Canal is, well, it's off in Latin America. They're out in the Atlantic Ocean. I guess unless maybe fish have come in from the Panama Canal, maybe.
Brilliant.
Lol. A beach sport? What?
I get that sharks eat a lot, but yeah, the beach ball was just weird.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah. Fuck it, I don't care anymore. All we had to do was remove the banner and the stuff around his nose, and
To their credit, dolphins can be mistaken for sharks so long as they had the teeth.
get it? It's funny because he still has a spoon attached in between his eyes.
Chase scene!
Finally, can we get to the fucking climax, please?
You could just swim through the door. Oh.
Yeah, I wish I was watching Scarface instead.
Scarface now?
But you see, the Scarface was a movie that existed. Don't you know?
But none of the actors here are in that film.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. If you wanted to make a Scarface reference, why didn't you get
Okay, to be fair, I think they'd rather just make the joke than waste the money getting an actor from Scarface. I mean, you know,
get Al
it's
Pacino in
mob-based
here?
anyway.
I mean, you bothered to get Robert De Niro, you bothered to get Martin Scorsese, who are known for gangster films. Might as well get Al Pacino while you're at it.
Well, why not just have Al Pacino voice the blowfish?
Oh, that's a good point as well. Yeah, get Al Pacino to voice the blowfish.
He's an actor.
I mean, if there's one thing Al Pacino has proven in ever since Godfather 3 is that he will never say no to any project. So
He was in Jack and Joe, for crying out loud.
yes. And Robert De Niro eventually went on the same path, sadly.
Yeah, I'd say
Remember,
Robert De Niro.
remember, Jova. He was in that terrible Grandpa movie with Zac Efron.
What movie was that?
Basically,
Bad
what's a movie?
Grandpa.
Bad Grandpa. Basically, Jova, it's a movie about Zac Efron, who's the grandson of Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro plays a wacky, kooky grandpa who's always showing his penis to hot chicks.
Was it good?
Well, what do you think?
You'd be surprised. Some movies that sound terrible actually can turn out good.
Well, it didn't turn out well, I can tell you that.
Okay, so now he kind of did get rid of a shark.
So basically, Will Smith fish caused a shit ton of trouble for everybody, and yet he gets away with it with very little cost, if any. That's nice.
Don't do the slow-mo, it doesn't look good here.
I'm actually a rapper. Oh wait.
Oh yeah, I mean, even before that, he was doing the rapping thing. Kind of makes you wonder. I guess he was waiting for his big break. Oh yeah, that's right. You had that thing going on.
Because I was preparing secretly for Kung Fu Panda. I don't know.
I'm noticing a clear subtext here.
What?
Doesn't matter the way he dresses. We love him the way he is. This was in 2004, so what else?
Guess. And then he gets released and he eats Oscar.
Well, that would be a massive shift in tone.
Well, he's a shark, of course he's gonna eat.
I forgot. When did when did Brokeback Mountain come out again? Let me check.
2005.
2005. Okay, so it was a year before that. So I guess, although of course, I like you said, like you implied, Jovala, yeah, there might be some subtext here. This was back when Hollywood was starting to try to, tackle down all those nasty barriers. Like Brokeback Mountain was a big movie in terms of that because of it.
I mean, as far as subtext regarding that goes, I have no qualms about this movie does it. Like, it's fine enough.
I don't have a problem either. It's just that this movie does it for subtext. Like Brokeback Mountain is literally flat out a story of two gay men, literally.
Mm-hmm. It really shows how much the show Friends was way ahead of its time. Since we've been bringing that up a bit.
Yeah, I don't care. Like I said, he got away with it with basically no price to pay. Like seriously, like he didn't.
But now he's gonna lose his whole fortune, I do believe. I guess the sharks will find some other place to feast on their prey.
Yeah, that. So basically, how are the sharks supposed to eat if you're not going to eat the fish?
I guess I'll find some other food.
Yeah, fish from somewhere else.
So it's okay for the sharks to eat fish as long as it's not the fish that are the characters of this movie.
Don't you see, Pedro? As long as we move the problem over there.
But that's not solved. Whatever. The movie's almost over.
We should take this problem and push it somewhere else.
That idea may just be crazy
That's
enough
a
to
great.
make the problem even worse.
It's okay. Here's a pop song.
And I'll admit, I do like the song again. I like the music of this movie.
That's
Well,
the thing,
also,
Joe. The problem, Joe, is that the music of this movie doesn't even come from the movie. It's just licensed stuff.
Okay.
Also have a Christina Aguilera jellyfish and Missy Elliott.
I mean,
fish.
at least
some of
Disney
these songs
usually
will
makes songs specifically for the movie. But go ahead.
I mean, okay, the songs here fit enough in the context with our character who is clearly Will Smith as a fish. And I think they did remix some of the songs to this movie. You know, again, they fit fine enough. The problem is that, well, again, yeah, you can't rely on music to save a movie unless it's something like Fantasia.
Well, yeah. Fantasia is basically what if you could watch music.
Like, okay, Car Wash, essentially. This song is about, again, you know, yeah, the Car Wash is obviously not a place to be if you want to be some big star, but it's still about being you, in a sense. Like, that technically is within the theme. Too bad the whale wash barely factored into this movie when you get down to it.
They bothered to get Martin Scorsese to come into the recording booth and go, yo, 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 yo. I don't this fucking movie.
Yeah, guys. Why do I keep getting the feeling that? I mean, if Comcast could have Shrek revived, what do you think the odds are they'll make a Shark Tale 2?
I seriously
I
doubt
think
that.
if anything, they'll reboot it. And that's even assuming they'll bring it back. You know, I'll admit, it is kind of weird, though, that they never tried to franchise this. I mean, granted, yes, this was before they got into the art of making TV shows out of their stuff or whatnot. Also, don't worry, there'll be a scene after the credits, but yeah. I mean, you know, this was before DreamWorks started making series, and by that I mean TV series out of their movies here. But yeah, it feels weird because, again, Shark Tale was big for its time, so it feels weird that they didn't try to capitalize off it more.
Yeah, what happened to Angelina Jolie's character?
Oh, she's gone.
She's just gone for that. She's not necessary anymore.
Character.
She's outlived her usefulness. Oops.
Yep, she betrayed him because she wanted vengeance, and I guess she didn't get her vengeance.
Kitty Corgage. Oh, how nice.
No, it isn't. I could just go on YouTube and watch the music video.
So yeah, I guess Renee Zellweger Fisher just forgives his douchebagness instantly. Okay. So the moral
because he came clean finally.
So the moral of the story, kids, is you can be as much of a jerk to the girl you like as much as you want, as long as you act like, you know what? No, I'm not. Whatever. Moving on.
I mean,
So
he did tell the
was-
truth, but yeah, that the moral was marred to high heaven. Oh, hi, Jeffrey Katzenberg. You know, funnily
yeah.
enough, hey guys, you know, the whole small fish in a big pond, guy who feels like he's a nobody amongst a whole group of fish, you know, this is actually a lot like the plot of DreamWorks' movie. You know, ants.
Also, the music was done by Hans Zimmer. Like, there were so many pop songs that I don't even remember there being an actual score.
I guess when they talk about Hans Zimmer, they're talking about, like, you know, the orchestral stuff.
Well, yeah, I know that. That's the thing. There were so many pop songs I didn't even remember there being an orchestral score in this movie.
So yeah, that was Shark Tale.
Mark Swift. Okay.
I'll go first with my final thought.
Go ahead.
Yeah, this film has aged horribly in terms of its plot.
Oh,
its
right,
animation.
this scene. I almost forgot this one.
Yeah, Nick Fury
Oh, there
Fish
she is.
Nick Fury Fish comes in. Please, Nick Fury Fish. Sorry, Samuel L. Jackson Fish, sorry.
Well, leave that up to your imagination, and now we'll have one of those animations going on while the credits are going up.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm actually surprised they didn't bother to get Samuel L. Jackson Fish. Go ahead, let's continue.
Was Samuel?
Anyway.
Oh, yeah, he was. Oh, by the way, Phil Lamar was, in fact, in this movie as the prawn shop owner.
Phil.
Yeah, he had like one line.
Why bother get Phil Lamar for... Go ahead.
Yeah, this film's aged horribly. It only really gets by, really, on the celebrity voice actors. And, and also the plot has been done a billion times before. and done a billion times better, might I add.
Yeah.
And yeah, if it weren't for Boss Baby, this would easily be the worst DreamWorks movie that I've seen. Although they're both kind of tied at the minute.
Nah, I would argue that Boss Baby is much worse because this movie was boring,
Much worse.
but Boss Baby is just disgusting with the baby ass shots and shit.
Let me put it like this. This movie was DreamWorks' first blunder, but it was done in a sense where nobody could really tell it was a blunder. Well, and by that I mean most people. Some people probably did, but nobody really saw it as a blunder until years later when it aged badly. Boss Baby is the kind of movie that is more so a culmination of how bad DreamWorks was getting, and everybody could smell it coming from the moment we saw the first trailer.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's me done. Fuck this movie.
Okay, for me
God,
it's just...
the cops!
Oh.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, for me it's just... The movie is just... the movie is for the most part boring, and when it's not being boring, it's just being cringy because of how bad the jokes have aged, and how fucking it's just like Joe mentioned, the pacing is bad because there are scenes in this movie that drag without any need. It's like they knew they had to hit the feature length runtime, so let's drag these scenes to hit, because remember, this movie is literally 1 hour 30 minutes and an extra couple of seconds. It barely reaches the feature length runtime, so you can tell that the movie was literally stretching to get that runtime. It's interesting. But yeah, like, also the character designs in this movie are god awful. Like, Will Smith fish face is terrible, and that's the kind of thing that would give any child any nightmares. And the baffling decisions this movie makes in terms of casting. Let's get Phil Lamar to voice one line. Let's get Martin Scorsese to voice a blowfish that goes yo 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 yo. Like, if you want to, here's an idea: get Phil Lamar to play the blowfish. Phil Lamar does the whole yo 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 thing great.
Plus, he's
Really?
an actor.
Yeah. Phil Lamar. Have you never seen his Matt TV work, Jova? Back in the 90s?
Oh, shoot. Oh, yeah. I did see that one thing with that Bill Cosby parody. However, the main thing I guess I remember...
Actually, that was Orlando Jones. That wasn't Phil Lamar. Phil Lamar was playing the son of Bill Cosby in that sketch.
Yeah, that's what I meant. It's like, well, I'll admit, I've normally seen Phil Lamar in more of his serious stuff like Samurai Jack.
Well, yeah, but true. But I understand that. But back in the 90s...
Okay, that's kind of funny, that bit.
Yeah, back in the 90s, before he became a voice actor, he was a live-action comedian. And I think it was also stand-up before he went to TV as well. And he did a lot of great skits that would make him a much more convenient, a much more appropriate choice to play the blowfish. If anything, because of that yo-yo-yo-yo moment. Martin Scorsese is an old white guy. Why would you get him to... Whatever, moving on. The point is, this movie sucks. It aged like crap. It's not funny. It's not charming. It's not touching, despite trying to be in some points. The animation didn't really age well. The abundance of pop songs drawn out on Zimmer's score... Why even get Hans Zimmer for a movie like this?
Because Hans Zimmer's the usual guy you get for orchestral pieces in movies.
Just get John Powell. He's basically the animated score guy. Anyway.
I mean, to be fair, Hans Zimmer can do good soundtracks for animated ones. Let's not forget he was still riding on that Lion King high.
Sure. Whatever. The basic point is, this movie is bad. It's not god awful. It's not an abomination. It's mostly...
Oh, there we go. They actually did tweak some of the songs of this movie. Kind of a Shark Tales mix.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it's very bad. It's not an abomination or anything like that. It's not the worst DreamWorks movie I've seen either, but it's not very good. It's pretty bad. It's boring. That's the problem. It just goes on and on and on, and the plot is so cliche that you're just going to completely check out immediately. And since there's no comedy to go along with it, at least, nah, it's just a really very passive experience. Like, so yeah, I do not recommend it. There's a good reason why this movie is kind of faded into obscurity among the DreamWorks catalog, basically. So
Also, Yakety Sax was in this movie according to the credits. When was that played?
sure, why not? Let's bring in let's bring in everybody. Why not? Let's bring in Dwebs.
Santa Claus.
Let's bring in Rowan Atkinson into this. Why not? Let's bring in one more comedian.
Time.
Let's have Rowan Atkinson play Kooky Dookie I'm a dolphin. Yeah, let's have Rowan Atkinson play a dorky dolphin while we're at it. Why not? Anyway,
I love how this movie went out of its way to credit the copyright of the United Kingdom.
Good job, Wibbs. Your country is officially involved in this. Anyway,
Yeah.
Sure.
all right, that's it. Go ahead, Jova. Close us out.
Well, I gotta say, it had some of the most interactive credits of an animated movie.
Yay.
That's it.
Okay.
I'll take the Super Mario Galaxy 2 credits. Thank you.
Okay, I like the cast of this movie, but the contents of this movie, ooh. I mean, some jokes still make me laugh, some were funny, but God, this movie, okay. Again, this is a movie that was made specifically for the year 2004. Mission accomplished. Problem is, it's not really viable outside that year, because as we've all said, it is aged like the worst of anything that can age. Like, honestly, you could make a whole category out of stuff that ages badly from this movie. Let's see. I mean, okay, the music songs, they're fine. The orchestral pieces, they're fine. What do we have for the story? Liar revealed. Okay, what do we do with that? Barely anything for quite a few chunks of the movie. And I get it. We're supposed to see what life is like for him. The problem is that we don't really get to see much of Oscar's life when you get down to it. He says his life sucks, yet at worst we saw people laugh at him because his dad was a tongue scrubber. Oh, he's a nobody. Oh, why don't you hold my bucket of tears next to people who died on that ship that you're using in this movie? My point being is like, well, God, this cast of characters is so hard to care for. Okay, I care for Lenny because he's being forced to be something he doesn't want to be. Fair enough. And I care for Angie. Though Angie doesn't even factor that much into the movie until like around the last act. When it turns out Oscar lost the one person who truly loved him before he became a shark slayer.
Yay.
So there's our plot. He solves it by telling the truth. No duh. And there we go. That's the movie.
Good.
It feels so much more shallow. I mean, as a kid, I probably enjoyed it, with juvenile humor here and there. However, it does feel like something that I think I can see why I never really came back to this movie as much, is that it's a fascinating kind of bad in the sense that, well, it's amazing because a lot of people did love this movie back in the day, but looking back at it, it's really sobering looking back at it. I appreciate this movie for what it did back in the day. The problem is that, again, it was only good for that 1 year. I cannot stress enough how badly this stuff is aged.
It's not 2004 anymore.
Yeah, I mean, the animation, yeah, sure, facial animation. That probably ate up a lot of the budget. Back then, it looked cool. Nowadays, it just looks more freaky.
It's the whole topical pop culture humor reference stuff taken to the ultimate extreme. When you go you can have that, there's a place for that, but when you go too far and make that the only thing your movie has going for, your movie will basically be rendered completely useless in a few years down the line.
Yeah. See, the reason 90s films are still relevant despite their 90s cliches as well, it's respected. We kind of enjoy some of the cheese that comes from it. The problem with this movie is that this doesn't even feel like the typical 2000s cliche movie. No, that honor still belongs to Zoom, Academy of Superheroes. The problem with this one, it was just made for 2004, and it's hard for me to feel anything for it. I don't even feel uber rage or anything at how bad it is or how terribly it tells the moral here. It's just I look back at it and I think of it more as like a very, 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 very old friend who's just gone senile and, live fine in the memories. It's just, if this movie is to come back in present day, which it hasn't from my recollection,
No, the Toy Story 2 had pop culture references like the Empire Strikes Back reference and stuff like that. But when you strip away the pop culture references from Toy Story, you still have a great story that carries the movie. This movie doesn't have such. This movie cannot claim to have that. When you strip this movie away of its pop culture stuff that only worked back in 2004, the movie's shallowness is completely laid bare.
And yeah, I think that sums it up best. For a movie that takes place in the deepest parts of the ocean, it feels as shallow as a kiddie pool. Like, yeah, I get that it was experimental in a lot of places, but unlike Toy Story, when you take away all the pop culture references, oh my god, it's that guy voicing that guy, or that girl voicing that girl.
It's this guy as a fish.
Tidbits and whatnot. Yeah, you come to a bland as all heck story where, yeah, this or that happens, but you don't really feel like much was accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
Oh well. Again, it's not the worst movie ever. There are plenty of worse stuff. And, I'll call it harmless, It's harmless for now. I mean, maybe if it came out nowadays, it would be more of a problem, but, it's in 2004, and that's where it's going to stay in its endless loop. Unless DreamWorks is crazy enough to make a sequel or reboot.
They mostly usually only make stuff of their most prominent, because this is Spirit Riding Free. Spirit Riding Free is, of course, the first into the Spirit franchise in years, yes. But Spirit, despite not being exactly a box office hit, it's still a beloved movie among animation fans. So DreamWorks knew that there was an audience there, even though they completely botched up whatever the audience wanted, of course. But that's a topic for another day. This movie, on the other hand, doesn't have an audience. There's no small cult of people that find this movie to be an underrated classic or anything like that. There's nobody.
The main reason you hear us talking about it nowadays is because it's more a fascinating study more than anything else.
Yeah, last I checked, this movie hasn't garnered a cult following or anything like that.
Nobody's really out there to defend this movie because we all recognize, yeah, it was cool for 2004, but we all grew up and...
Most people even forget that's the thing, Jova. From what I can tell, most people forget that this movie even exists.
Yeah, partly because there was a much better DreamWorks movie released that year.
Yeah.
All right, so
and exactly
That was the tale of Will Smith Fish. I hope you tried to stomach through this film. We'll see you again next time for hopefully a better DreamWorks film, as long as you don't have to redo Boss Baby.
Nah, Boss Baby has already been whatever. See you, everybody.
See ya.
See ya.